back with Market Sense. After some amount of consolidation, the pace of the fall for the Indian markets is gathering momentum. So as we speak, it's 17,728 on the Sensex and the Nifty at 5369. Rajat, any trading ideas that you've got for us?
Yeah, I would like to give, I was initially planning to give some buy calls, but given the kind of market conditions, I would rather prefer to give sell calls. And Jindal Steel and Power is one stock that is hitting 52-week low, if I'm not mistaken. So put a stop above 390 and its target would be something like 371. Currently ruling around 382, and it can even go further down. So that is a good short trade to take. And Larsen & Toubro, after we spoke, it has once again weakened, and so put a stop above 1414 and expected it to fall to something like 1395 to about 1391. These are the short selling ideas that I have for you.
All right, Rajat, thanks very much for joining us on the show with those trading ideas. Let's check in then on Europe, and we've got Bruno Verstraete, who's partner at Lakefield Partners, joining us on the phone line from Zurich. The markets in Europe have opened. But Bruno, we are at the start of this week. What would you say the outlook for equities in Europe would be?
Well, I think towards the meeting of the ECB on the 6th of September and especially on the court case on the 12th of September, markets will start to become a bit more volatile. That will be based mainly on political, let's say, disagreement, especially within Germany, that will increase volatility. So I do see a bit of profit-taking in the short term. Over a longer period of time, I think equities might be the last, let's call it safe haven in investment country, which is a bit contrary to what we are used to in the past. But that might be one of the few places to hide, especially if you look at the non-existing yields in the safe bonds, and if you look at the dividend yields in, let's say, the multinational equity. So I do see a bit of a shift from institutional money towards equity. That is, of course, going to stop a little bit when volatility picks up, which could be the case in the short term. But I think in the long term, equities are still a buy.
So Bruno, are you saying that we're going to be Europe's going to see an interesting period where you continue to see deteriorating macro indicators, while at the same time you could possibly see a rally in the equity markets?
I think so, yes. I believe that the equity market does seem to take into account, and then I'm talking specifically on Europe, does seem to take into account a serious recession in Europe based on the leading indicators and what have you, combined with, of course, all the misery that we come from in Europe. So I do believe that the markets are already cheaply priced, and that is something that investors are looking at, especially if you see that you get negative yields on the safe haven bonds. So that is clearly an alternative where you would make money in the short run.
And Bruno, what would be your view on how much the global markets are going to hinge on the crucial Jackson Hole meet?
Well, I think democracy is going to determine the markets in the short run. I think especially the court case in Germany, but also a bit further out, the elections, both in the U.S. and in Europe, will definitely determine the sentiment on the markets. So I think that's a very big question mark going forward, and that will, of course, increase the volatility.
Okay, thanks very much then, Bruno, for joining in with that perspective. It's a mildly negative start for the European markets as we speak on expected lines. And remember, the London markets are shut on account of a public holiday. L&T, there's some negative news which in fact some positive news of an order win just came in on the company, that the company has won a contract worth 749 crore rupees, this time coming in from ONGC. So that's a bit of a positive trigger for the company. Remember, just recently it did manage to bag an order worth 1,302 crore rupees from Oman. We also had the news of the sale of one of its units just about now. So 1407 for L&T on last count. But let's take it right back to the European markets. And in fact, in terms of data and news coming in, you had the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who met the Greek Prime Minister Antonios Samaras on Friday. Now, Merkel reassured Samaras that she wants Athens to stay in the euro during talks in Berlin. However, the former gave no signs of fulfilling Greece's request for more time to meet the terms of the bailout. Meanwhile, the French President François Hollande met Samaras a day later and urged Greece to prove that it can pass reforms demanded by international creditors. He said that no further decision could be taken until European ministers consider a major report on Greece's finances, which are due in September.